Hey, what's going on, guys? Fizz here once again. It's been a minute, hasn't it, since I've uploaded a video. Disclaimers, I'm gonna get a few plugs out of the way at the beginning of the video, so make liberal use of the timestamps and the chapters down below if you don't care about any of this. But the first minute of the video, I'm gonna be talking about stuff. So first off, foremost, if you've been missing the videos and you want more Fizz content, check the Twitch. I'm still streaming daily, even if you don't see a video from me. Second off, this character is being played in the Merry Fizmas Private League. It is still going for another 3 weeks. We are about 1 week in. There are 3 weeks left. So if you are interested in playing in a group-found hardcore environment with top meta skills banned, that being stuff like, RF, DD, Seismic, Helix, all sorts of stuff like that banned to diversify the build pool. No economy or anything like that, just everybody shares whatever they get. You're not obligated to, but no economy whatsoever. Trading is strictly banned, and it's just like a group bound, and it is hardcore, like I said, so permadeath. This is what this character is being played in, so if that sounds cool to you, there is a video on my channel. It should be the video before this one or 2 videos ago or something, with all the rules and stuff. I'll have the link down in the description. And I think that's everything. Okay, let's get started. So what is this character? Oh god, Fizz, not again, not another Boneshatter character, but it is. But you'll notice something is very different. I'm using a pile driver. So basically the league started, I did a Boneshatter Slayer again, like I said I was gonna do, and I went axes, and then I decided to do X-Arc without getting a writhing jar or anything. Did it super early. Went into the ball phase, got hit by a ball, almost died outright, but refused to log because I was being stubborn because it was the last wave. And then got murdered because my Frostblink was still on cooldown when I tried to dash through a wall of balls, and I died. So, and then obviously no writhing jar, so I didn't have leech or anything during that time. So it was, I'm taking more damage and I don't have my main form of sustain or defense. So that was a mistake, but I was like, man, what do I do? I did have a few other builds I was interested in playing, but they needed prerequisite gear. So okay, what if we go again, but we do maces this time? Because I haven't done Boneshatter maces, and I wasn't a huge believer in it. Now is where we get to the map showcase. Wasn't a huge believer in it, but after playing it, this is literally one of the most fun builds I've ever played. It's an absolute blast. So I guess I'll save the differences until after this. But I think right now I'm using almost 800 PDPS pile driver, I think. I did craft a GG one that is going to be over 1,000 PDPS, which if you don't understand the DPS differences, maces as a base type have way lower damage baseline than axes. So 1,000 PDPS on an axe is crazy. 1,000 PDPS really crazy. Before this league with recombinators, having a 800 to 900 PDPS axe in gHCSSF would be a very, very good axe that would take you through, that would be more than enough for endgame, right? Now obviously with this patch, with recombinators and stuff, being able to just guarantee tons of T1 rolls, you're seeing axes that are pushing 1,200 PDPS, which is absolutely nuts. And it has allowed me to make a pile driver that is pushing almost 1,100 PDPS, which is absolutely insane. And if anybody's curious, this is basically I just straight yoinked Karn's tech for maces, his build, because you guys know Karn, he did the collaboration with Ziz this league for Boneshatter, but the one he did in that guide series, if I recall correctly, was axes. It wasn't actually what he was playing. And on the high end, axes still deal more damage than Boneshatter, but I can't say that I've really felt like I needed it, to be honest. A big part of that too is Maces, okay, well, I guess now that the map showcase is done, we'll get into the difference between Axe and Mace. So Axe will pretty much early game always be better. So for like league start scenarios, you're going to want to be an Axe anyway, especially while you're still resolute technique. Axes will be better early game. Axes are faster. You will always have more attack speed on axes, simply due to just like the axe nodes here giving a ton of attack speed, right? You get more rage, which is more attack speed, and then Hatchet Master giving tons of attack speed as well. So axes will always be faster than maces in terms of raw attack speed. Which leads to the next one. Axes will pretty much always be more DPS, with a caveat. On paper, they will always be more DPS. It's a better base in terms of like flat damage, and you get way more attack speed on the tree. Meaning you will attack faster, and not only will you attack faster, but because Boneshatter has a stacking debuff or a stacking buff, depending on how you view it, it has a stacking mechanic that will give you more damage, basically, the faster you attack. Now, it hurts you more as well, so there is a balance there, but the ceiling is a lot higher. We'll say it like that, in terms of damage for axes. Now, what do maces get? Well, first off, maces get crazy quality of life. So if you don't know, Boneshatter gets AoE based on its stun duration, right? So typically on an axe build, you're going to be getting like 60% around stun duration. With the mace build, you get well over 300%. And in some cases, you can push 400% increased stun duration. Meaning that when you're hitting stuff, the pulses of your Boneshatter are huge, man. It is massive. Now, Boneshatter doesn't struggle to clear by any stretch of the imagination. It's an amazing clear build. But when you have that crazy stun duration on a mace, it is ridiculous. As well as, it's not a ton, but getting an extra 12% increased AoE from Bonebreaker is also cool. So we do have that. And then, you know, like, obviously, like, impact and stuff like that is going to give you a ton of AoE, but Axe also gets that, so it's not worth mentioning. So basically, you're just going to have, like, over 300% more stun duration than on an Axe, which is crazy. Your AoEs are going to be way bigger, so clearing will feel better in that respect, I guess. And then here's the other thing. When you go maces, you go pile driver, so Karn's the one who kind of, like, discovered this tech, or kind of like kind of brought it to the forefront. Basically, if you use a pile driver and like using basically a mace will lock you out of close combat support, right? So that is one of the worst parts about maces, especially post 3.15, is that using a mace will lock you out of close combat, which is one of the best supports for melee builds, right? Now, with that being said, that opens up a support slot for you where you can put in something else. So sometimes people put in, like, when I play Mace Earthshatter, I use Shockwave support instead of Fist of War, because it's kind of redundant to use both. So things like that. So it opens up a support slot where you can kind of like put in utility or something else, because you can't use close combat. And we don't really want to use Pulverize because of the massive less attack speed multiplier it has on it, without really giving us a whole lot. In terms, like, the damage it gives at face value isn't as much as you get, because we scale so hard with attack speed that having 15% less attack speed is going to hurt our DPS pretty badly. And obviously we don't need the AoE. Like, we already destroy the entire screen and then some every time we attack. So what is that last support slot? Well, it's going to be Endurance Charge on melee stun, which you may think is kind of weird, right? Because like baseline, that's only 12% more damage. With the +1 Endurance Charge we have here, it's 16% more damage, right? But you'll notice here it also gives reduced enemy stun threshold. Why is that a big deal? Well, when you stack a bunch of reduced enemy stun threshold, you can get it here, right? With Anomalous Boneshatter, it becomes a quality there too, so that's another 20%. Pile Drivers Implicit gives 20%. The Kinetic Impacts also give some on the nodes leading up. You get 5% reduced here. Going up through Spine Cruncher, you get 10% reduced here. So you can get it all over the place, right? You can get it all over the tree, and with support gems and stuff like that. So you stack this, and then this build actually really loves Ashes for obvious reason. It gives a bunch of gym quality. Well, with gym quality, we can get even more reduced stun threshold off Anomalous Boneshatter and stuff like that, right? So that's kind of the crux of the build. You stack a ton of reduced stun threshold and stun duration, and what does that let you do? Well, it lets you stun pinnacle bosses for like 10 seconds on end, right? So there's like a cooldown on stuns, so you can't just perma stun a boss, but you'll be able to stun it for a very long time using this tech. And the whole idea behind like this tech is that like maces will, or axes will technically be more DPS on paper, but when you're fighting an endgame boss and you stun it for 10 seconds, you're allowed to just wail on it, which one is very safe, two is more uptime on DPS because you're not having to deal with mechanics. You can just sit there and hold down right click, and three will let you have higher trauma stacks due to that higher uptime, thus getting, which with Boneshatter is 4% more damage per stack of trauma. So you'll have a lot more damage multiplier from that increased uptime, which will also be more damage. So like on paper, axes are always better no matter what. But the mace side of things in terms of like the end game kind of argues in terms of like DPS in like realistic scenarios, that like even if you don't count the safety and stuff of permanently stunning everything, and with the mace tech, the chill, I've been one of the biggest like advocates of this for the longest time since it got put on the tree. With the chill and the stun and everything, if you ignore all that, just the baseline, the boss will be stunned so much that you just have way more uptime and thus way more trauma stacks and just more time to hit the boss from not having to deal with anything and the boss not moving or jumping around or anything, that technically the DPS levels should at the very least equalize and potentially be in the favor of maces. Now this would take like a crazy amount of extensive testing to test really, and a lot of it would come down to RNG, depending, you know, because like there's so much stuff that can happen in a boss fight. Like think like Uber Elder or Cirrus or Maven, how much they teleport around and stuff like that. Like there's going to be a lot of like uncontrolled variables in a test like that it would take so much time and resources and stuff to test. But so you can only kind of go like the two schools of thought and like what you kind of agree with. So in the past, I was kind of like, axes are like so much more damage. Like why would I ever go for the mace? You already have crazy clear speed on Boneshatter. You don't need all that extra AoE. Stunning feels kind of gimmicky, blah, blah, blah. So this was kind of like my viewpoint before playing this build. After playing this build, it feels amazing. One of the biggest things I think has going for it, and I did say this at League Start too, is the argument for maces got so much stronger with the Arch Nemesis mods, because everything in the game is so much more dangerous baseline now that going into a harvest garden and perma stunning everything in that garden to the point where they can't move or touch you or do anything, it's so much safer than having to actually fight the monsters, believe it or not. Because stuff like, as we've seen, you know, there's been a huge uproar about it. A lot of the Arch Nemesis mods, even post nerf, can have some really crazy interactions when paired with other league mechanics that already scaled monsters to kind of crazy levels before the Arch Nemesis rework, Harvest being one of the worst offenders of that. When you kind of pair Arch Nemesis with Harvest, things get really crazy. So maces being able to completely like trivialize that feels really good. It does feel incredibly safe. Even on a 5-link without endurance charge on melee stun and without anomalous Boneshatter, I was perma-stunning basically everything. T16 map bosses were getting stunned for 90% of their life pool. Once I got anomalous Boneshatter, because I did get that before a 6-link, everything was just perma-stunned all the time. And once I got my 6-link with endurance charge on melee stun, I was stunning Elder. I haven't done a lot of bosses yet because I've just been trying to juice Eater progression to try to farm ashes, because I'm going to need 2 of those for my next build. I want 1 as well. So Elder was the one I tested it on, and he just didn't get to move. It was amazing. He spent the entire first phase stunned, and the second phase he's in the chains or whatever, right? So it doesn't really matter what happens. But the build has been an absolute blast to play. That's kind of the difference between Axe versus Mace in-depth. And I'm just having a ton of fun with it. The character's about a quarter of the way through 98. This one is only about 3 or so days old, so I have been blasting pretty hard, as you could probably tell. I've just been having a ton of fun. Like, I definitely recommend you guys try this. Before I go into the gear section, I do want to show you guys the mace that I have cooked up here. So we got Dictators, Flaring, and Chosen. So tier 1, tier 1, tier 1. The only way that the prefixes could possibly be better is that Chosen Unveil prefix being a chance to impale on hit instead, because that would let me not have to take Harpooner and instead put those 3 passive points somewhere else, like what Karn did was actually spend them on Rampart instead, so he could get Fortify Mastery for the increased Fortify duration. But that's a very minor thing because Harpooner does give a lot of damage by itself anyway. So like realistically, it's just like I don't get the increased duration on my Fortify, which isn't that big of a deal. So it's the prefixes aren't perfect, but they're very, very close. And then the suffixes, as you can tell, it's kind of a meme. I rolled like bottom tier attack speed. However, the good news is I have complete control over fixing that. Basically, I just used all my exalts crafting my chest piece and this mace, so I need to farm up 2 more X, but once I do that, I'll put on prefixes can't be changed, hit it with another harvest speed reforge, and it will guarantee attack speed again. I just have to hope that it's something a little bit better than tier 9. That's why I'm not using it right now. To be clear, this mace is a lot better than the pile driver I'm using right now. It's just, I don't need that damage at all to zoom T16s. The Strand map boss was a little bit of a outlier in terms of how long it took me to kill the boss, simply because I'm talking and I'm not focused, and also because the boss has block chance. Most of the maps that I'm doing, as you can probably tell from my inventory, is zooming Park, and Park boss doesn't have block chance. So Park boss, even with this mace that I'm using now, which is about 730 PDPS, dies like in less than a second. Like, it's very fast. You have so much burst damage on this build with totems, the war banner, and focus, that honestly I don't need the damage from this. So I'm just kind of using this mace because this mace has 25% attack speed, which just lets me leap slam faster, it lets me attack faster and stuff like that. So when damage doesn't really matter for just map speed, I'm just using my old one to go faster until I fix the suffixes on this. Now, basically, I'm ripping this straight from Karn. Has a command in his chat on how to craft this. If you guys are curious, I will go over how I crafted this. Basically, you want to get Dictator Flaring, which you're probably going to get through Recombinators. That's how I got it. Otherwise, you are incredibly lucky. So you'll alt spam for Dictators. If it has a prefix and a suffix, you will annul down to get rid of the suffix. And then you'll get another pile driver. Hit it with alterations until you hit Flaring. Now, Flaring is actually pretty easy to hit. Dictators is incredibly rare, though. It's really hard to hit. You'll recombinate them together, so it's on the same base. If it fails, go again. Takes a lot of alterations. You just got to tough it out. Once that happens, hopefully your prefixes, you have an open prefix. If you don't, you have to annul. I did have to annul. I had flat fire damage. I hit the annul. I hit the 1 in 5 chance to hit it because I had 2 suffixes. That was really cool. So from there, what you want to do is roll on prefixes can't be changed. Go kill a mastermind with a level 3 Ashling in research. Hit it with a Ashling, which the new Ashling will remove a mod and give you a veiled mod, right? So when we craft on prefixes can't be changed, Ashling does respect meta mods. So basically when it eats a mod, it will eat one of the suffixes and not your Dictator or your Flaring. And the prefix is guaranteed to be percent fizz damage. Now, it can be percent fizz damage with blind on hit, poison on hit, impale on hit, and bleed on hit. The perfect one is impale, but the second best is blind, the third best is bleed, and the absolute trash one is poison. Blind does help, especially in hardcore. It is useful. Impale is the best because it will have, like I explained earlier with the passives. But ultimately, it's pretty min-max. Getting ahead of myself. It's pretty min-maxy, and it doesn't really matter that much. Now, once you've done that, your prefixes are finished. What you're gonna do from there is hit it with another prefixes can't be changed, or hopefully Ashling didn't eat your prefixes can't be changed, so you don't have to use another 2x. And I guess to backtrack a little bit here, if the Ashling doesn't hit, because Ashling can give you a veiled suffix. If she gives you a veiled suffix, then you will have to annul that off, right? So if it doesn't eat prefixes can't be changed and it gives you a veiled suffix, then just annul down, because annuls also respect metamods. If it does eat prefixes can't be changed and it fills your suffixes, so if you have 3 suffixes now and it has prefixes can't be changed, you can annul, or you can do the safe thing and hit it with a harvest, keep prefix, reroll suffix, which is what I did. Do remember though that you will have to benchcraft on a prefix in that open slot. Otherwise, it has a chance to fill that prefix with a random mod, and then you're in hot water. You're gonna have to YOLO annul that mod off, and that's a very unlikely chance to happen, right? Anyway, back to the crafting. If that happens, you basically just do one of those methods I described to reset the suffixes so you have an open suffix again. Then you're just going to keep rolling it back through Ashling until you get a veiled prefix. That's the only RNG there. As long as you get a veiled prefix instead of a veiled suffix, you won. Good job. You got your increased damage. Your prefixes are now finished. Now for the suffixes, basically this is really easy. Prefixes can't be changed. Harvest, speed, reroll, which is what I did. Unfortunately, Chris Wilson memed on me and gave me 7% attack speed, a tier 9 roll, which is laughably pathetic. So I'm gonna, once I get my 2x back again, to go again, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna change this mod on here to prefixes can't be changed, hit it with the speed reroll, hope that I get a better tier. From there, chance to deal double damage while focused is the endgame craft. Now you can take this a step further, which Karn did. If you have an open suffix, you can force one, by the way. You can, prefixes can't be changed and annul, and then you have a 50-50 chance to hit like let's say this is like tier 1 attack speed, and then I have that crit multi there. Prefixes can't be changed, hit this with an annul. I basically have a 1 in 3 chance to hit that crit multi, because it can either take off the prefixes can't be changed or the attack speed. If it takes off the attack speed, you basically run it through another speed reroll. If it takes off the prefixes can't be changed, you have to throw that meta mod back on for 2x. And then the last one, it hits the global crit multi, then we're in a good spot. What we do from there is we will benchcraft on, chance to deal double damage while focused. And then we can hit it with Warlord Exalt. And that last suffix mod will be filled with, you have a 1 in 3 chance. It can give you Coaling Strike, which obviously does literally nothing for us. It can give, I don't remember what the other one was. It can give you one other thing, or it can give you percent fizz with chance to maim, I believe. It's chance to maim. There may also be chance to bleed, but I don't really remember. However, this is a pretty small increase. You don't need this. It can roll 3 tiers, and the absolute highest tier I think is 24%. I could be a few percents off, but it's only 24% if you hit tier 1. And it's like as low as like 10 or 11% if you hit tier 3. So there's not like, I'd be going from 210% increased fizz to like 230 if I hit tier 1, 234, you know. So like it's a pretty small increase, all things considered. So that's just like an extra absolute min-max, get the perfectest item strat if you want to go for the Drox hit, but you don't have to. That's how you craft the endgame mace. Okay. And you can do this strat on like any weapon, by the way. You can do this on anything. And the chance to impale will matter less on other builds that actually go full impale. Like if you played this on the Echoes of Creation Slammer that I did, you wouldn't need that chance to impale there. But you could still go for it and like maybe drop the Dread Banner and go for Defiance or something if you wanted to. Or War Banner, which is what I use in specifically the Echoes of Creation build. So it would help, but again, not necessary. But you can use that same crafting strat on basically any fizz weapon. It'll work on any base, as long as you're crafting a fizz weapon. All right, that was really long-winded. So the rest of the gear, this is what I'm using right now. Like I said, the other one's a lot better, but this is good enough. I'm still destroying stuff with it. It's a tier 4 hybrid, a tier 3 flat fizz, bench crafted on percent fizz because it's also got tier 2 attack speed. The other 2 suffix mods do literally nothing for us. We don't care about them at all. In the helmet slot, so like I said before, gearing precise technique builds is very hard. It's like gearing Omniscience, but even harder. Because with an Omni build, you need perfect suffixes. But the only resistance you have to care about is Chaos Res, because Omniscience will take care of all your normal res. Well, when you're gearing a Precise Technique build, you need to worry about your base resistances, you need to worry about Chaos Resist, and you still need your perfect suffixes because you need accuracy everywhere, basically. So you'll notice right now I'm actually at 6,120 accuracy and 6,091 total life. So I'm right there on the cusp. I can't take any more life on the tree, though technically you don't need to. Getting about 6k life on this build is par for the course for endgame. I did have about 6,300 a little bit ago, but then after making some changes to the build, that has gone down a little bit. It's variable, but anything about, you want to get at least 6k, and then after that, it kind of depends on where the character's at. So in the helmets, we have tier 1 life with tier 1 hybrid, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, we have a useless prefix there with rarity of items found. I'm too much of a bitch to try to annul that off. Because I also have cold res, tier 2 spell sup, and an open suffix for a fire chaos hybrid roll. Now, technically for an endgame item, I would want almost exactly this. Karn went for a craft with reduce or Fizz taken as fire. You could do that. That would allow you to hit higher trauma stacks, because Fizz taken as fire is a very, very good way to reduce some of the self damage from the trauma stacks at very high stacks. As you'll notice, the Eater of Worlds implicit I have on the helmet does just that. So I have 6% of Fizz taken as fire. You can get 10% on the actual helmet itself, which would be 16%, which would allow you, if you have the attack speed for it, to get incredibly high trauma stacks for bossing. But right now, this is the helmet I'm sticking with. I don't really know if I'm going to go for the Fizz taken as fire, but this is where I'm at. Now moving on to the chest piece. The chest piece was a bitch and is not finished. So, onslaught for 6 seconds on hit. This is insanity essences. Farming insanity essences sucks. The easiest way for you to craft this is going to be hitting a random dragon scale with onslaught on hit, getting another dragon scale and getting like life and spell sup, and then recombing them together and then praying. That was not this. I have did that multiple times. This has been a journey getting this chest piece. Basically, eventually I hit insanity with tier 2 spell sup, and I was like, okay, we'll work with it. I then used suffixes can't be changed and hit it with a few life rerolls. That's where that trash tier 10 regen suffix comes from. Sadly, that's gonna have to stay. Realistically, what I should have done is put on suffixes can't be changed and then hit it with a fire or cold or lightning or chaos hit to basically guarantee a resistance roll there instead. That's what I should have done first, but I was just being antsy. And I was worried about exalts, because I already needed a bunch of exalts to finish my mace. So I was like, whatever, it doesn't matter, I'll sort it out. And I did need those exalts, and I'm still not done, so I need more exalts. So I wasn't wrong, but it does kind of suck that I could have had a resist roll there instead. Exalts are my bottleneck right now. So from here, what I'll do is I just basically need a more exalts. Hit this with the take off that mod and put on suffixes can't be changed, and then hit it with another life reroll, and then hopefully get more than tier 9 life. But for now, it's good enough, right? It is good enough, but it could be a lot better. And then my implicits from the influence, life recovery rate, obviously really good for leech. The Xart, you could get increased effect of auras here, or max res. I had max res, and then I greeted for increased effect of auras, and then ran out of currency, so I'm stuck with lightning damage. That is what it is. For the life recovery rate, it will give you, it's really helpful because it improves your leech, which is, you know, the whole ascendancy basically. But you can also put on like increase effective pride or determination here as well if you want. Determination, like the 20% or so increase effective determination specifically put me at about 31.5k armor, up from 26.6k unbuffed. So it does give you a fat chunk more armor. Increase effective pride, 20% increase effective pride is going to be like 6 to 7% damage increase, somewhere in there overall for my character, to give you an idea. But I went with life recovery rate because damage isn't a thing for me right now, and I wanted stronger leech. Moving on to the boots. I just got these. So this is a tier 4 hybrid roll, which is not bad. Tier 1 life and open prefix, which is important because we want cannot be chilled benchcraft. Funnily enough, I've been throwing this on like every character this league because of a lot of the tech. The changes with pantheons and stuff. People aren't really doing reduce effective shock and chill anymore because basically puncture is so crazy this league that a lot of people are running, and with the new arch nemesis mods, a lot of people are actually running solar Ralakesh to deal with bleed, because bleed is a lot more likely to kill you this patch than being shocked is. So getting reduce effective shock from your Garukon pantheon and then getting the 40% craft on boots or gloves kind of went down on the priority list because bleed is so much more dangerous. So with that being a thing and not getting that craft on like other pieces and not even really having room for it in this build anyway, cannot be chilled. I've been throwing this on like everything this league and I love it. Just not having to deal with chill because now there's a bunch of monsters in the game that throw down chilled ground and creeping frost or whatever the fuck it is on the ground. You have frostwalker. There's so many more sources of chill now that just being immune to it, especially on a build that revolves around a lot of attack speed to go fast, feels really nice. Moving on from there, we have tier 1 chaos res, which is huge. We got some fire res and tier 3 spell sup. Very good pair of boots. I guess in the belt slot, nothing super fancy. I got tier 1 life with double tier 1 resists and open suffix for a hybrid craft, and then tier 8 armor. I will probably just hit this with a like Leo at some point to fill the prefix and hope I get something decent. And that's pretty much it. There is a chance maybe I get maybe I try to farm a hunter exalt and then hit it on this and hope I get % life on the first go. That would be pretty cool. But yeah. Moving on to the gloves, we have tier 1 life, tier 4 hybrid armor evasion again, an open prefix for +1 to AoE gems because we're putting our auras in the gloves, so you get +1 to our auras. We have tier 2 accuracy, tier 4 spell sup, and a resist roll. On my implicits, I have reduced enemy stun threshold. That's big. I hit this on a grand, which is really big. And then I have 5% to impale enemies on hit with attacks. This is baby numbers. It doesn't really do a whole lot for me. This needs to be a way higher tier. I just don't have those eater currency right now to go for that, right? Moving on from there, rings. Rings are very hard to craft for this build. I have tier 1 flat fizz to attacks, tier 1 life, tier 2 chaos res, tier 2 global accuracy, which preferably that would be a flat accuracy roll, but global accuracy is just good enough, as you can see from my accuracy earlier. And then an open suffix and an open prefix. So I crafted on shock nearby enemies for 4 seconds when you focus. Again, this is straight from Karn's character. Because on our mace, we're running 30% chance to deal double damage when focused. We're already going to be using focus anyway. With this, we get a 15% shock, which increases the damage they take by 15%, meaning for 4 seconds, or 5 seconds, or whatever it is, buff lasts 4 seconds, yeah. With an 8-second cooldown time, basically we have a 30% uptime on 15% shock and 30% chance to deal double damage. Very strong synergy there. Over on this Vermilion ring, and I do have fertile catalysts on both of these. That's how I'm getting 85 life on this ring. So this ring, sadly, the life isn't perfect, but it is good enough for now. This is another one of those keep suffix, reforge prefixes that would be pretty good, or just craft a better ring to begin with, because it's not, this ring's not like perfect, right? Like it's not like, it's got good rolls because the suffixes are nice, but they're not like crazy high tiers or crazy hard to replicate. It's just not super high on my priority list. I have other stuff to fix first. But we have the mana roll doesn't mean anything. Tier 4 life, sadly, with an open prefix for at least 1 Elrion craft. And then we have a lot of resist here. A lot of lightning res, fire res, and accuracy, which is important. Tier 2 accuracy. And then in the amulet slot, I'm running tier 2 life with tier 2% armor, which is really nice. An open prefix for increased damage while leeching. This is really nice because it's always active because we have overleech, so we just always get 35% increased damage basically. And then in the suffixes, tier 2 all res, which is really good. Tier 1 accuracy, again, really good. And the strength is whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's like, you know, 10 life or something. So that's that. And I think that is, I think that's all the gear. Oh, this is important. My jewel. So I am using an eye level 85 murderous eye jewel. This is important because only eye level 85 plus can roll tier 1 accuracy. So I'm getting potentially 300 accuracy from my belt as well. I know it's tier 4 life. It's only 25 flat life instead of 40. However, getting life and a tier 1 accuracy roll on this jewel was crazy hard. It took hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of harvest rerolls to hit something like this. So I'm good with this for now. I'm very happy with having that. And yeah, so the next big upgrade for this build is obviously I need to fix my axe. So I need 2x to hit that through another harvest Gamba. And hopefully I hit a higher tier of attack speed so I can start using that mace. But the big one, oh, and I forgot, Anointed Bastion Breaker. That will change eventually probably, but for now I'm sticking with it. Ashes of the Stars. Like I said, it gives you +1 to everything. It gives you, you know, it's a bunch of damage, it's a bunch of defense, blah, blah, blah. But the quality will also give you a bunch of reduced stun threshold, which will help you, like, basically almost perma-stun pinnacle bosses. I'm at the point now where I, like I said, I could stun Elder for a very, very, very long time. But for things like, I mean, who knows? Stuff like Maven and buffed Eater and buffed Exarch, the non-invite versions or the non-quest versions, I could not stun Eater when I fought him, even with the Giga Mace that I had. So to stun Eater and Exarch, you do need ashes. I can say that confidently. Past that, I'm not sure. I haven't fought Maven yet on this character. I haven't fought Asirus yet on this character or anything like that. That'll be in the next day or two, probably, to try to get like Conqueror exalts and stuff like that, because I'm going to need them to keep crafting on the build. So I don't know about the other bosses. Elder, easy clap. All the Guardians for Shaper, Elder, and the Conquerors, perma-stun them, no problem as well. But for, you know, Maven, Cirrus, and those two are unknown. And for Exarch and Eater, those two I absolutely cannot stun, because obviously I've been farming Eater for an Ashes. I don't have rage in that fight because I can't stun him. Also, I guess one last thing I should go over here. Why Insanity Chest? You gain Onslaught for 6 seconds when hit, because every time you hit with Boneshatter, you hit yourself, which means even during bosses, doesn't matter. You have permanent Onslaught all the time as long as you're attacking things. That's why you want that mod. It's so good. And technically it would be really good for axes too, but axes can ignore that largely in part because Hatchet Master gives you free onslaught on kill, and you want to take this anyway for the damage it gives you. So maces don't have an easy form of getting onslaught. Technically you could throw it on boots, but you lose your chill immunity. Until you get, by the way, until you get your onslaught on your chest piece, basically Death Rush is your best in slot. It gives you a ton of chaos res, gives you a ton of accuracy, and you get onslaught on kill. Once you craft your Insanity chest piece, you want to replace it with something like the ring I have here. So that's all the gear. And real quick, I'll just go over like some of the passives. A lot of the stuff, I'm going to breeze over this because this is like the 3rd time I've done Boneshatter build diary. Well, I think this would be like the 3rd episode, I guess you could technically call it. So a lot of this stuff is the same. The only difference with the Mace version is before I anointed kinetic impacts on the axes. For Mace version, you need to go through the small nodes because you need the reduced stun threshold and all the stun duration you can get. Other than that, I anointed Bastion Breaker since I didn't anoint kinetic impacts. Past that, Spine Cruncher, you need this as well. Basically, anything that has stun duration or reduced stun threshold, you have to pick up. You also want two Mace Masteries, because you want chill, and then you also want 50% increased stun duration. And then going for the impale nodes here, technically you can grab, this is what I did on my last character as well, by the way, is grab Impaler. So if you only have 20% chance to impale, or even like 10% chance to impale while you're mapping, especially early on. This can help your damage a ton. You hit like an entire pack of like, you know, like 20 or 30 mobs at a time. One of them's going to get impaled, and then Impaler will make everything be impaled, so you get that damage while clearing. This is what you can do when you're at really low impale chance. My character now is at like... I'm blind. 35%, so I don't feel like I need it, especially with how fast I attack. But this is something you can do if you're at like 10% or whatever. It's probably worth taking. 10 to 15. And yeah, that's everything. So the character, like I said, is about a quarter of the way through 98. POB will be down below. Future things I need to fix, like I said, ashes, need to get that. There's some min-max stuff to do on the gear. Need to get more exalts basically to finish crafting the GG Mace, the Mega GG Mace. Need to get some exalts to get a higher life roll on the chest piece. Other than that, I could stand to like get like marginally better pieces of gear. Technically in every slot, right? There could be just slightly better. And past that, I think that's everything for passive tree and gear. If you guys want to know more in depth of the rest of the passive tree or the ascendancy nodes or stuff like that, then just go check out my previous Boneshatter videos. The tree outside of that stuff is going to be largely the same, so don't worry about it. It'll convert over 1-to-1. For the sockets and the helmet, I'm running Molten Shell 11 with level 2 caster damage taken, so I'm running a 2-11 split. I'm running a level 2 Anomalous Warlord's Mark. If you're wondering why Anomalous, it's because cursed enemies take 4% increased damage. Once you get an Ashes, that's like 8% increased damage or 9% increased damage or whatever, maybe even 10%. Basically, it's a ton of extra damage. And why Warlord's Mark? It's because it gives us a ton of rage. This is something else that I guess maces get that axes don't. Because you need to use Warlord's Mark to generate rage, and because you stun everything all the time permanently, it's crazy that a lot of the time it's like a berserker. I can pop berserk and I'm just sitting there hitting stuff, and I just because I keep stunning them over and over and over, my rage is like this, just staying topped off. Because I have so much attack speed and I just keep stunning them over and over and over. It's not like I pop it and then my rage goes and then it's gone, right? It's like I pop it and then they just keep getting stunned, so it stays at full the whole time I'm attacking, and then I just have like perma berserk for that encounter. It feels really nice, actually. So that is something that's really cool. It also allows you to pop berserk all the time throughout the map. Anytime you feel like you need damage reduction or extra damage for like essence monsters or stuff like that, you don't really have to care, because for axes, you're getting pretty much all of it from the mastery, which takes a bunch of time to build up, right? You get 1 rage on hit. Whereas for this, you get 20 rage anytime you stun something with the mark on it, which basically on cooldown. Basically, it's got the cooldown from, you know, cast when damage taken, and then you just are constantly proccing it, because again, with Boneshatter, you're self-hitting, so you're constantly proccing your own cast when damage taken. So I'm just like, you know, you pop berserk and then you're instantly full rage again while clearing it. It feels really good. I'm running a level 13 Blood Rage simply because that's all the decks I have right now. It is max quality for bonus attack speed. Technically, you could get a alternate quality Blood Rage here for Frenzy Charge on hit, which would be a lot stronger, again, with an Ashes, because I think it's like 2% chance for a Frenzy Charge on hit or something. I could be wrong, but I think it's like 2 or 3%. With an Ashes, it would be up to like 5 or 6%. So that's something that you would kind of want Ashes to like make realistically feasible, because like 2% on hit, even with a bunch of attack speed, you would not be able to consistently sustain frenzies on bosses. But that is something you could do. Moving on from there, we have Anomalous Boneshatter linked with Ruthless support, Fortify support, Brutality support, Melee Fizz, and lastly, Endurance Charge on Melee Stun. In the boots, we have Ancestral Cry linked with Precision, Arrogance support, and Frostblink. Obviously, the only things that need to be linked here are Precision and Arrogance. In the gloves, we have Determination linked with Pride, Berserk, and Warbanner. Now, technically, what I could do, and I may end up doing at some point, is swapping the Precision into the gloves so it gets +1. I just don't know. My Warbanner Corrupt actually hit 2120, the Corrupt hit, so I'm not really sure, like, if it's worth dropping, like, the Warbanner out to be able to put Precision in. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'll play with it. It doesn't really matter, because right now I have enough accuracy, so Again, like I said, it doesn't really matter right now, but if accuracy becomes an issue, maybe the precision goes in there instead to get the +1 from the gloves. And then in my weapon here, I have faster attacks linked with Leap Slam and Ancestral Warchief. And the other 3 link, I have Ancestral Protector linked with multiple totems and Maim. Oh, I need to corrupt this, don't I? I'm running level 18 multiple totems because that's all I have int for right now. And then the other 2 levels only give you, like, it goes from 23% less damage to 21% less damage. I don't really care because I'm not using Ancestral Protector for its damage, right? I'm using it for Maim and to give, you know, from the buff it gives. So I don't really care about having that higher level, realistically. And one thing you could interchange here, instead of using Maim, if you don't want to use Maim, you could have increased duration on your cast when damage taken setup for a longer Molten Shell instead, if you want. So that's something you could interchange if you wanted to. I think that's what Karn did. I just opted to go for Maim on the Ancestral Protector. But I believe that's everything for the character. Lastly, Flasks, instant recovery with CB removal. Basically, you want to get Masochist or Flagellants on your prefixes anywhere you can, which is gain charges on hit. And then reduce effective curse, reduce effective shock, percent increased armor. And here I actually have increased attack speed. Though you could put on another increased effective evasion if you want, or like 50% increased evasion, or you kind of have a little bit of wiggle room on what you want to throw there. So that slot's kind of open. I decided to do attack speed just to zoom more. But yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you guys a bunch for watching the video. The next build, if you guys are curious, I'm probably going to take this character to 100. If you guys recall, before the private league started, I said I was going to be starting Boneshatter. I wanted to play precise technique because the gear ceiling's really high and it would keep me busy for a long time. That has proven true, obviously. I still got upgrades that I want to make. I still have stuff that I'm crafting. I still need to farm in ashes off of Eater. So I still have a lot of stuff I want to do with the build, and I'm already a quarter of the way through 98 a few days in. So I still have plenty of stuff that I want to do on the character. I don't feel remotely done. So this character will probably be another 100 for me this league. And then after this character, I want to play Poison Spark, which I also said before this league. I wanted to play Boneshatter into Poison Spark. Well, thankfully, Chris Wilson has been smiling down upon me because I have all the other gems that I needed. In fact, Phantasmal Spark was the first alternate quality gem that I got of my like list of stuff of things that I wanted. Anomalous Boneshatter was actually the last thing that I got. So I got everything else I needed before getting the core thing that I needed for my current build, like all the like anomalous warlords and stuff. So I got Phantasmal Spark, which if you're wondering what it does, it converts 40% of your damage to chaos damage, which you need in ashes basically to fully convert. So that's why I said I needed 2. I need 1 for this build and I need 1 for this build. And I say 2 because I'm probably going to take this character to 100 and then I'll probably just do Ubers on him until he dies. That's I feel like that's going to be the trend from now on. When I play a build to completion, instead of just putting it down when I'm done because there's nothing else to do on it, I'll just throw them into an Uber and kill them. Especially because a lot of builds can't really, like Boneshatter absolutely will struggle like on Cirrus and stuff. I don't know how the hell you're supposed to do Cirrus on this build, but yeah, that's the play. So I'll probably want 2. And then Phantasmal Spark. And then I kind of want to, like right now I'm thinking that I'll play Poison Spark to 100 as well, which would put me at 3 100s this league, which is pretty nuts. But that's my current plans. If anyone's wondering about Gauntlet, I will not be playing Gauntlet because halfway through Gauntlet, I'm actually going out of town for 10 days. So I don't really see a point to participating in Gauntlet when a few days in I'm going to have to leave and then the event will be over when I get back. It also coincides with my private league, so you know there's just no real reason for me to play in Gauntlet this time around. I was actually debating it this time, but yeah, I checked the dates last night, and a few days into Gauntlet, I'll be gone. So I'm just gonna keep playing my private league, which means more build diaries for you guys, and then I have more like talk pieces coming out, so I'll try to get some videos out. I will also try to pre-upload some videos to be released when I'm out of town, like I said, so you guys can still get a video or 2 while I'm not home, hopefully. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. If you guys have any like recommendations or requests or stuff of videos you would like to see from me, now that the you know, Sentinel's kind of like dying down a little bit, there will be some time before the new league and stuff is announced. there will be some videos that I already have planned, and like maybe 1 or 2 more build diaries that I'll do. But for the most part, we're gonna have a few weeks of just kind of like filler. So if you guys have any like specific videos you want me to do, specific topics you want me to cover, specific tutorials, blah, 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 blah. If you guys have anything in mind specifically, feel free to throw it down in the comments. I'm not saying I'll make a video on it, but I'm open to ideas right now. If you guys have something you feel strongly about, feel free to throw it down below. If I see something that piques my interest, maybe I'll do a video on it for you guys. Anywho, with that, this is probably a super long video. How long has it been? I'm scared to look. Only 50 minutes. Only 50 minutes. We're par for the course. It's normal here. Anyway, thank you guys so much. If you made it this far in the video, be sure to let me know down in the comments. Are you guys playing Boneshatter? Is it fun for you? This is honestly one of the funnest builds that I've played. I love this. I said it before. The more I play it, the more I enjoy it. The Mace version has only doubled down on that. It has doubled down on the fun. I like it a lot. It's so fun to play. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, you know, like, share, subscribe, all that crap. If you enjoy my content, whatever, if you want to help support me. Streaming daily on Twitch. I also have a Twitter and a Discord. Links for that down in the description below. And remember, Merry Business Private League is going on. If you want to join, again, links down in the description below. All the resources you need, current character POB, description down below. Everything's down there. Bye, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.